All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Monday, April 21st. We have two NBA playoff games to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'm going to give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays. So when I'm actually rolling with myself, if that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. All right, so we don't have a recap from last night because we didn't have any videos go out on Sunday. We were with family and whatnot, so didn't have any videos come out, but we did have plays on Saturday night, and we did go 0 for 3, so let's own the womp womp there. But I also want to bring back the ride of the day, guys. If you don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple, but it's something really cool that we do here on the channel. All you have to do is use that hashtag ride of the day down in the comments, drop your favorite play along with it, and I jump on board with one person's play each and every day and give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. We're running it back here today. When we've had these small slates, we've kind of put the pause button on or hit the pause button, but 2 games today. I like both these games. Let's get a ride of the day out there. So get that hashtag ride of the day down in the comments and give me your favorite play. I also post it over on my Twitter/X, which just popped up on your screen right now. And it goes on the Guy Boston Sports site with the final plays as well. So get those down in the comments. And even if we don't jump on board with your play, it's being seen by a bunch of people, and you are helping out a ton of other people with a nice play that you like and the reasoning and rationale and whatnot. So yeah, get those down in the comments. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this 2-game slate here, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're starting it off with New York taking on Detroit. So this is game number 2. In game number 1, New York looked pretty good, right? They win 123-112. They won, I would say, the back half of that game. It was a lot closer than it looked, and even Detroit looked like they had a little bit of momentum on their side come the third quarter, right? But as that game went on and on, you really did see New York sort of separate themselves. And again, they ended up winning by 11 points. That spread was, 7? I don't necessarily think I saw enough out of Detroit to want to say, okay, they get their get back here and win. 6.5 is a decent number. So if you're on Detroit 6.5, I'm not going to try and talk you off of it, but I think I'm still going to lean towards the Knicks in this spot. The way that they were able to score was obviously, Towns, Brunson. We saw Anunoby have a good game as well, but realistically, Jalen Duren gets in foul trouble. We saw even Thompson get in some foul trouble as well. If the Knicks do take it to this Detroit team, I think that kind of thing can run it right back, and we saw a little bit of what I would consider distance between the two teams with Towns and Brunson's versus, I guess you could say Cunningham and Harris was the other guy that was scoring. Malik Beasley had a really good game as well, but ultimately, yeah, this Knicks team likes to score inside. I thought Detroit was going to be a hell of a lot better at preventing the points in the paint. They didn't necessarily. So that worries me to some degree for Detroit. If you are liking Detroit, it worries me as well. But overall, I think that this Knicks team just has a little bit more offensive talent on their squad and better coached in general as well. They shot, I think, like 50-something% from the field and nearly 40% from 3. So I don't think they do that again, but it's not like the Pistons, really had like a bad shooting night or anything like that. They shot nearly 50% from 3. So I think both of these squads, their field goal percentages and whatnot drop a little bit in this game, but ultimately if they both drop, we should see a similar result. I don't think that we get to 235 points, but I'm thinking more like a 224, 225 type of a finish, so maybe 10 points less than we saw. So I'll still lean towards the over, and that's where I'll give Detroit a decent amount of credit, getting the Knicks to get up and go, especially if the Knicks do get to the foul line. I think they shot, I think both teams shot like 20 foul shots and shot decent percentages there. So I think this one kind of moves in a similar pace with less successful shots, but still at a pace in which we can look at an over, as well as the Knicks minus the 6.5 points. In terms of where we go from a player prop perspective, we like Deuce McBride in that first game, right? And ultimately was not the best look whatsoever. I've thought about kind of running it back with him because I do still think that, if he does get the minutes, it should be a no-brainer. But he only played 15 minutes in that other game, so that's kind of tough to see. I'm still going to say Deuce McBride over in points is a lean for me, okay? I think I'm a little scarred, so I don't think that we end up rolling with it ourselves. But I also like the idea of Dennis Schroeder here over rebounds plus assists. Another guy that we want to make sure he gets the minutes, but ultimately, in game number 1, he only had 3 assists, but he had a decent amount of potential assists, right? And he had been crushing this number. In the last 10 games, he had been averaging 9 rebounds plus assists. We're only looking for 6 from him to cash the over of 5.5. So I think that this could be a decent spot. He's going to be able to score off the pick and roll as well. I will say that. So if you like his points, rebounds, and assists, by all means, go for it. But ultimately, I don't know if, just with the minutes played, we want to make sure he's getting like 28-ish. He played 26, which is a big difference. He played 26 in that game number 1. When he plays, 26 or less minutes, he doesn't have the best of numbers to this line. The minute he goes out there and plays 28 or so, he crushes it, like 24.5, average in terms of points, rebounds, and assists. So yeah, the more minutes, the more production out of Schroeder. That shouldn't be shocking anybody. But those are 2 player props that I'm looking at in this one. If you wanted to kind of just run back what worked in that first game and you take a peek at, Brunson, Towns, and Anunoby, I can't hate that. Based on the numbers that we saw from them, looked pretty good, right? Towns put up, I think, 24 and 11, something like that. Anunoby had nearly a double-double, and then Brunson almost went for 35. So, yeah, all 3 of those guys clearly built for the playoffs, I guess, at least in this series. So, but ultimately, to recap that one, I'm going to lean, again, towards the Knicks. It just comes down to, I think they have too many, offensive weapons there compared to Detroit. And if this game does play at a little bit faster pace, like I kind of envision it doing to some degree, that offense will shine through more so than the interior defense of the Pistons. But I also do like the over, like I mentioned, because of that. And then player prop-wise, Deuce McBride and Dennis Schroeder. All right, before we move on to the second game, I want to talk to you guys about Sleeper. No, we're not talking NBA, but I do have a free square for tonight's baseball game. Robbie Ray, 0.5 outs. All he has to do is record an out while pitching. He doesn't need a strikeout or anything like that. He can get a little dribbler, ground ball to second base. They throw it over to first base because he's pitching in that spot. Boom, this one will cash. So it's essentially a free pick if you guys do want to check out Sleeper. That link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. You're also going to get your first deposit matched up to $100, which is their OG deal that they are bringing back. Awesome deal, guys. You put in $50, they'll give you 50. You put in 100, they'll give you 100. Sounds like a no-brainer, right? It's free money. Go check it out, guys. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. I talk about all the time what I think sets Sleeper aside and makes them unique. The payout structure, each and every pick that you throw in changes the payout multiplier, so it's not a same payout for 2 for 2 or 3 for 3 each and every time. And I love the fact they have so many squares available on their app, alternate lines, and all that. Really, really cool, guys. Again, that link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Let's jump back into the slate here. We got game number 2 to talk about. All right, this game did not disappoint. It was the one that I said in that video. I said, I think this is going to be my favorite first-round matchup to watch. And not because it's going to be the best flashy basketball or anything like that, but I think these are 2 teams that are absolutely even matched. And again, it did not disappoint. Game went to overtime. Denver came back and won. It was a really, really close game, quarters 2, 3, and 4. LA did get out to a massive lead in the beginning. I forget it was, but they were up by like 10 at the end of the first quarter. Then they lost every other quarter, including, I guess, the overtime, so every other quarter plus. So Denver showed that for the majority of the game, they were the better team, but I still did like what I saw out of the Clippers. We saw Zubac, Kawhi, and Harden all go for 20 plus. Harden went for 30. I would start with a player prop here in this spot. I think James Harden can do that again. I don't mind his points plus assists. I don't mind his points, rebounds, and assists. He just looked very, very involved, and man, oh man, was his usage crazy high in that one, which shouldn't shock anybody. But ultimately, if we look at his points plus assists, he's now hit this in 6 straight games. Over his last 5 games, he's averaging over 40 points plus assists. He's just getting a ton of potential assists and whatnot as well. And he's a guy that we've learned this season. James Harden, usually for other players, you just double, you cut the potential assists in half. James Harden's a guy that converts like at a crazy rate his potential assists to his real assists. So I like this spot for him. In terms of where he likes to score from, it's going to be from above the break, which isn't exactly Denver's weakness, but there's nothing really, strength of their defense ultimately. I guess I would say above the break in the perimeter, they're decent at defending, but we saw Harden, again, look pretty damn good in that game that we just watched, right? He had 43 points plus assists. He went 4 of 9 from 3, shot 50% from the field, had 11 assists, now a decent amount of rebounds as well. I think he had like 5 or 6, right? That's why we might throw in PRA, but to me, He's going to be on the ball. He's going to be dominating it. I like the spot. And then I also have considered the other stud over on LA, Kawhi Leonard. I like his points, rebounds, and assists. I think the Clippers probably keep this one, close again. And I know that they are the favorite in this spot, but ultimately this game's a pick 'em in my brain. So I do think this is going to be a close game back and forth. And I see them battling it out. And the fact that Denver won game number one almost tells me I think the Clippers come here and win game number two and steal one here in Denver. So I think it's going to be like I said, close game. I'll say Clippers on the money line. Yeah, that 1 point doesn't really interest me. I'd rather just go money line, kind of avoid the push potential. But realistically, it comes down to I still think that both of these teams are really, really evenly matched on the offensive end. In fact, if we jump into the dashboard, you'll see a couple things here. First and foremost, both of these teams are going to prioritize shooting in the paint, right? They don't really care all that much about scoring from three, which makes sense given their personnel. But you look down here and it's like, okay, well, only one of them is actually very good at preventing points in the paint, and that is the Clippers. And this is a game in which we like the under in game number one. I'm glad we didn't pull the trigger on it because it ends up going to overtime, and I think there was 14-12 in overtime, so that's 26 more points that we didn't account for. But ultimately, again, this is the glaring weakness here for Denver for me. Their defense. They've looked okay in terms of the perimeter, I guess, recently. Yeah, look at the last three games, including the playoff game. They're top 10 in terms of perimeter defense. But ultimately, down here, it kind of worries me. 47 in terms of points in the paint, field goal percentage allowed over the last 10, nearly 70% in terms of the restricted area. I just think that the Clippers have that better defense. I think that that's ultimately what's going to separate them. And a lot of the times, guys, when we are deciphering or breaking down these games, I can't say, the Clippers are just much better than Denver, especially this series. I think they're evenly matched, much like the Knicks and Detroit. I just think that one thing, the talent separation offensively with the stars in the game, is the deciding factor. With these series, with these games, I think that the defense here is the deciding factor. It's not like you have a plethora of reasons as to why I like, the Clippers over Denver or anything like that, because of the fact that these are two very good teams. They're playoff teams. Obviously, we can't just rag on one of them and praise the other. So hopefully that makes sense because, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record and say the same reasoning like, I think the Clippers are just the better defensive team, but that is the truth. That is why I like them in this one. Playoff betting is very, very fun. It can be very difficult, though, so my objective usually during these series is to identify the one or two advantages versus putting every single game into a vacuum, starting from scratch again. These can build off of one another. So it's very different than the regular season. Hopefully that makes sense. But I like the Clippers because of the defense. The total's at 217. I almost want to say run it back with an under again. This game finished at 222 last game. And again, that was with 26 points in overtime. So it's finishing under, 200 without overtime. I think that both these teams want to play a little slower than you might think. Even Denver, I mean, you look at their numbers of pace on the season, they've definitely had their ups and downs in terms of periods of time in which they're running fast pace and whatnot, but they will play half court offense, and the Clippers will happily let them because the Clippers want them to slow things down because it's kind of like death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? The Clippers have James Harden, Kawhi on the other end that they can play some Zubac, right? So if they're like, hey, if you want to play a fast half-court game, we think that we have the advantage in that. Whereas Denver's probably thinking, okay, well, the minute we start running, that doesn't really suit us all that well. Like Jokic running up and down the court, I don't think so. So to me, this is a game in which both teams think it's to their advantage to play the game slower. That's going to result in an under for me. I probably say Clippers money line, the player props, and then maybe a drop-off to get to the under, though, in terms of actual final plays if I were to prioritize these. But, yeah, guys, it's going to wrap it up for me in today's video. A short one here, kind of went through it, but again, we're really trying to hone in on the advantages or disadvantages in this game. Keep in mind, these are four good teams that we talked about today, but in each and every one of these playoff games, unless you're kind of talking about the 2-7 seeds or, the 1-8 seed games, like, yes, there is a big talent, I guess, discrepancy, but when you're looking at the 3-6s or in LA and Denver's case, the 5-4, it's like, these are two teams that deserve to be exactly where they are. If you're thinking, oh my God, there's no chance that Denver loses this game, you might be the one that's missing something, right? So it's about finding those little things. At least that's my experience. We've had success with that in the past. But that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Again, let me know now that we've seen some playoff games, right? Which series looks like it's going to be the best. My vote is sticking right where it is. I do still like this Denver and Clippers series, even if it's going to be kind of messy at times. We're watching Harden torch. Jokic is Jokic. Like, this thing looks pretty damn cool, and I'm very, very excited for it. So yeah, that's my story. I'm sticking to it there. Denver Clippers, best series so far. But we'll catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.